right, here we are, Gen Con 2015. I'm here with Sean Jacquemain at Asmodee, and we're going to be taking a look at the Queen's Architect, which is releasing here at Gen Con. It will be hitting the retail outlets sometime this fall. So, Sean, you want to tell us a little bit about Queen's Architect?
Yeah, absolutely. So Queen's Architect is probably the most brain-burning game we've got releasing here. And it's one of those games where your first kind of playthrough, it's going to take you maybe half the game until it clicks for you. And as soon as it clicks for you, your actions will come up very quickly. Really, there's only a few actions that you're going to do throughout the course of the game. And so it's all about optimizing what you're going to do throughout the course of the game. So the idea is that we are going to be traveling throughout the countryside to different villages with our carriage here.
Okay.
And we are going to visit these different areas and build villages there. And as we build them, we'll put down our markers there to indicate we've built a house there.
Okay.
And each of the different places require different types of workers that are there. And so we've got this marketplace of workers where we're going to hire these different guys. And the more you spend on your workers, the more actions you're going to get out of them. So you can see how many actions are possible there on the workers. And this little hammer here indicates where you're going to be plugging them into your own personal board. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But as we move up and down the line here, if I were to purchase this worker, these would all shift up and new workers would come out there. So that would change the price as we go along.
Okay.
And like I say, like the more you spend on your workers, the more actions you're going to get out of them. So the idea, the goal of the game is to be the first one to climb up this ladder of points until you're able to make points worth 15 while your carriage is in the main center of the city.
Okay, so you have to be back in the center of town.
Exactly, exactly. So, like the first step, these are put out randomly each game you're going to play. So, depending on how they come out, it could be like very slow at the start and then very quick at the end. Like you see here, the first jump you're going to make is going to cost you 9 points to get there, and you've got your worker here, and you want to move him up that ladder.
Okay.
Now, if you're able to do something that's worth do an action worth 16 points, you can jump. Excuse me. Gesundheit. You're going to jump that much further up the ladder. Now, if I was able to do something that was worth, let's say, 11 points, then what I'm going to get for that is some contracts. So that's going to make up the difference in points there. So for each point I don't actually score in point 4, I'm going to get a contract which I'm going to be able to sell for $2 later in the game. Okay. So if I do an 11-point action, I jump up here, I've crested the 9-point spot here, and then for the 2 points that I have left over, I'm going to get a contract for each of those.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the individual action boards that everybody's going to have throughout the course of the game. These are going to determine how you're going, like what actions you're going to be able to do each turn. Okay. So we've got a little worker here, and he's going to move around the board in a clockwise fashion. And each turn he's going to move 1 to 3 spaces. And where he stops, that's the action he's going to be able to perform. So, like the first spot here is allowing you to get money for each of the workers that you have. The second spot allows you to get hire new workers. The third spot here is where you can either sell contracts, or over here, it tells you can move up on this board here, which says how many contracts you can sell at a time. So right now, at the start of the game, I can only sell one at a time worth $2. Gotcha. But if I spend that action to move up on this board, I can get as many as 4 at a time.
So you can generate some more money then.
Exactly. Okay. This action here allows you to move your caravan around the board. 1 space is going to be free. So if I just move like from here up to here, that's going to be free. But if I want to move further, there's going to be a cost to that. Okay. And then we've got the workers' rest action, and that's very important. And I'll explain in a second how that works. Because the last thing that we've got is the workers' construction, or the build action. So if I come to a town that I meet the worker requirements of that town, so let's see here. Well, I don't see anything out there. But if I have a town where these 3 particular workers are required, or even these 2 particular workers are required, I can do a construction there. And what happens is I'm going to get points equal to the value of those workers and any other worker I've got there.
Okay.
So I'm going to score those points out, and then once those workers are activated, they're going to turn clockwise so the value changes, but also the amount of actions you have left changes. And when you turn past a certain point, then they have no more actions left. So when this guy were to turn one more time, he's used up his all of his actions, and he's going to be discarded, and we'll have to hire more workers as we go along.
Okay.
So the game is about a few different things. It's about optimizing where your meeple is on the board so that you're getting the right actions at the right time, but it's also about rotating your workers so that their value is at their highest when you're going to actually tap into their build ability.
Gotcha.
Now, we were talking about resting for a second here. The rest action allows you to turn counterclockwise.
Okay.
So instead of going forward, you'll go backwards, and that'll gain you more actions. And when you do that, you'll choose a type of worker that you're going to do, and you can move all of them back, and you just pay some money to do that. So what I find about this game is that it will take a full playthrough before you're really getting the idea of it. But once you get going, it's rated at about 60 minutes, and I think that's a pretty accurate idea. I think 60 minutes is a pretty good amount of time to do it, and there's lots of great decisions to make in there. And I think it's going to be a big hit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and that's Queen's Architect from Queen Games. So look for that this fall. All right. Thanks a lot, Sean.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.